Today I'm going to be riding this bike. It's the only one in the world, so I'm going to try my best not to break it. This is my ADB Avenger. It's an old 4-stroke from the 90s with an absolutely wild backstory. I've already made a video all about that crazy history, but in case you missed it, here's a quick recap. In the 80s, a legendary motorcycle designer named Horst Leitner created a new Californian-based motocross brand called ATK. They specialised in 4-stroke machines using Rotax motors and were famous for their unique and innovative design features. Leitner eventually sold his shares in ATK in order to focus on his design work. The new man in charge at ATK was a guy called Ken Wilkes, and he needed some investment, and he got it from the Utah-based White family, and things apparently got a little messy between the White group and Wilkes. In the end, Ken left and ATK moved to Utah. Meanwhile, over in the UK, a man named Mike George set about creating his own motocross bikes, and he hired Horst Leitner to design the machines that would be known to the world as PBH Scots. Only a handful of these Leitner designed PBH bikes were produced before Mr. George closed the doors on his motorcycle endeavour. As a lot of these PBH parts were the same as ATK parts, the UK importers for ATK, the Wise brothers, decided to buy up all of the leftover PBH inventory. Back in the USA, Ken Wilkes had set up on his own, separate to ATK. His new company was called American Dirt Bike. When Ken caught wind that there were some Leitner designed leftovers floating around, he contacted the Wise brothers about getting hold of some of that stock in order to create his own ADB branded machines. And the result was the Avenger. Reportedly, only 10 were ever made and sold. But what makes my bike here even more unique was that this machine was actually made here in England and not in the USA like the rest of the ADB Avengers. Back at the start of the project, Ken Wilkes sent the Wise brothers a kit to turn one of their leftover PBH machines into an Avenger. And that's what this bike is. So our one here is a little different to the rest of the Avengers. This is the only example, the only Avenger ever created in this configuration. So yes, this genuinely is a one-of-one machine. The Wise brothers only built this one bike. So, what are our plans with it today? Well, like I said at the start, I'm going to ride it. I'm going to hit the track here at Buttercup Farm. There are some sizable jumps out there though, so let's see if I can hit them all on the old thumper. As well as that, I want to talk you guys through a few of the details and quirks that make this bike so different and weird, so we'll get into that a little later on as well. I also want to set the bike up properly for myself, because at the end of the day, if the bike survives that long, I also want to do a hot lap challenge with this bike against my modern 450. Let's get kitted up, let's do it, let's ride the Avenger. This video has been sponsored by our friends at Insta360, and I've got a cool new product to tell you about today, which is this thing, the Insta360 Mic Pro. You can use this as a transmitter and receiver for your big camera, which I'm doing right now, so you can grab audio that way. But what's really cool about this mic is that you can hook it up directly to your Insta360 action cameras, so you can use this microphone to record your audio on the bike, on the track, which is what I'm going to be doing today. You can also hook it up to your phone as well, so you can grab audio on your phone with this microphone. And as you can see, a nice little touch there, you can digitally add your own logo, upload it from your phone, and it adds it to the microphone like that. A very nice, cool touch, professional touch. I'm loving it, the Mic Pro from Insta360. And if you've ever fancied recording your ride with a 360 camera and you want to give it a try, you'd be interested to hear that Insta360 have a great deal going on at the moment for this thing, the Insta360 X4 Air. It does everything you need a 360 camera to do at the best price. It records 360 video up to 8K resolution. It's the lightest 360 camera out there at the moment, and it makes use of flow state stabilization for the smoothest shots possible. I'm going to be using it on the Ducati here today, but before we hit the track, I just need to tell you about the best way to mount it to your handlebars, and that's definitely with the heavy duty clamp right here. I've left our affiliate links to the clamp and to the camera in the description down below, so be sure to check that out for the best deals and the best prices. But that's on there now, that's secure. Let's hit the track. First things first, we need to get the Avenger started, which is easier said than done. It's got a bit of a weird procedure. As you can see, we've got a left-sided kicker, which are not my favourite. I've ridden a few bikes with left-sided kicker. The Megalodon 700 is one. I've ridden a KTM 500 with a left-sided kicker, and I have never been able to do it with my left leg while I'm sat on the bike. I always get comments on the videos when I do it with my right leg off of the side. I just can't do it with my leg. I'm sorry. Don't blame me, I can't do it. So the man that built the bike did give me some tips on how to get it started in the easiest way possible. We've got a choke here on the, we've got a decomp up here as well. And if you come down here, it's a bit hard to see, but in there is like a sight glass, and that will indicate when I get it to top dead center, there should be like a white mark that comes into the sight glass there, and that it's top dead center. Let's give it a go. I had my fingers crossed that she would fire into life first kick, but that wasn't to be the case. So before I wasted any more energy, I wanted to rewatch Danny's video.
Pull the decompressor in, gently push it, not fast, just gently push it to the bottom. And as you hear the bottom, you'll feel it sort of click into place, and that's when the cam's on rock. Bring it up, stand on it, hold it down, literally stand on it, and then crack the throttle at the bottom of the stroke. If you mistakenly open the throttle as you're pushing down, it will just, and it will lock up, too much air. So you've got to nail it, and then just crack the throttle on the bottom of the stroke. She should go every time.
Danny made it sound so easy, so let's give it a go. Yeah, this turned into quite the process. We tried and tried and tried again, but we just couldn't get her fired into life today, which is super frustrating because I have kicked her into life before. You guys have seen it. But no matter what I did today, she would not play ball. We even called up Danny and got him on the phone. We got him on FaceTime to see if he could give us any pointers, to see if he could tell me what I was doing wrong. And we still couldn't get her fired into life. So we had to move on to our last resort. Oh man. With the help of Tim, who runs the track here at Buttercup Farm, we finally got her fired into life with a bump start. My word, that was an absolute mission to get started. So my main goal now is don't break it, don't bloody stall it. Woo! We're on track! On board the ADB Avenger, baby! Wow! I'm going to take a bit of time to get used to the old beast. I've never ridden a four-stroke this old before. Oh, this predates the four-stroke revolution of the early 2000s by about 10 years. And even when this bike was brand new, this motor was a bit dated. This is a 1989 Rotax motor in CCM spec. Oh, the engine braking on this is insane. When you chop the gas, it just wants to stop. It's a very skinny bike, obviously it's air cooled, so there's no rads at the front there. This gives it a very slim profile. Oh yeah, we're getting the hang of it now. Starting to have some fun on the old beast. Sit this jump. Oh, the suspension feels very plush, let's say. There's no balance shaft in this motor. Some of the road tax bikes did have balance shafts around this time, but not this one. So it's a bit vibey. Got my Insta360. Hey, ooh, Ace Pro 2. Linked up to my mic adapter for the audio here when I'm talking. I've got my Ace Pro 2 on my chest, hooked up to the Insta360 Mic Pro, which is on the back fender. So we're going to get some proper wet fart noises off of that thing. So to really get the most out of this bike, I need to understand how to ride it properly. And to understand how to ride it properly, I should really understand how it works. So I do want to try and have a look at that funky A-track system with the chain there, which is something we've not talked about yet. The anti-torque system at the back. So we'll have this little ride, and then I'm going to go back to the pits and going to have a chat about how that A-track system works. For now, let's spin some laps on the Avenger. So way back in the day when long travel suspension was becoming more common in motocross, designers and engineers were encountering a real head scratcher of a problem. They found that under power, when the chains were tight, the bikes were squatting a lot, which was playing havoc with rear suspension performance and affected the overall balance of the chassis. They knew that if they could eliminate this squatting effect, they could improve handling and rear suspension performance all in one go. And in 1981, our man Horst Leitner fired a patent for a clever little device that would do just that. It was called the A-Track Torque Eliminator, and it reduced torque applied to the suspension by rerouting the chain around a pair of rollers above and below the swing arm. And it worked an absolute treat. The chain would now keep a constant tension. As we know, Horst Leitner created his own motorcycle brand later on in the 80s, and all of those bikes made use of this tech, as did all of his subsequent designs later on in his career, such as this machine right here. As time progressed and chassis geometry became more advanced and linkage suspension became a thing, the A-Track technology became a little redundant. But Horst still believed that with his system and a cleverly placed no-link shock, he could save weight and reduce complexity. Which is why, even in the 90s, his bikes continue to look like this. I've never seen a bike make use of this technology with my own eyes, and now that I understand how it works a little more, I can begin to appreciate its effectiveness on track. It tackles the choppy bumps really well. The bigger jumps, not so much. So when I bought this bike, I had a lot of questions that I needed to get answered before we rode it. Obviously, it's a weird bike with some strange quirks and technology we've never encountered before. And one of the things that we needed to check was, how do we know if the chain is at the right tension, if it's tight enough? When I spoke to Danny Wise, the man that built this bike, he gave me some pointers, some tips. He said that I should lean over the bike like this, put some weight on it, and if the chain isn't pinching, we should be good to go, which it doesn't look like it is. He said that the chains do run tighter with this system than what you're typically used to, so hopefully this is right. I'm still none the wiser, to be honest, but I'll find out when we hit the track, I guess. So one of the other things that Danny mentioned when I talked to him was about setting up the sag. This is what he had to say. This is what he told me I should do.
The one thing we noticed about the bike is Vince isn't a big lad. I mean, you're quite a big lad, so you might have to play with the setup of this bike. Vince isn't a big lad, and the bike was developed by Vic Allen, and then raced after that by Willie Simpson, Sean's dad. And so they're not big fellas either. Yeah. And what you'll find is it's not a big bike. So Vince got on it and loved it. It was good, but then a couple of years later, when you get not that he's a big guy, but Scott Eastwood rode one for a season, and you at British Championships you could hear it hit the floor. So it would you had to have a plate on it. It would scuff the floor a little bit compared to most of what was out there. So for someone like yourself being a bigger fella, you're not that big, but you're bigger than we are. You'll notice when you set the sag on these bikes, like I'm sure it's the same as an ATK, you tend to run the sag at about half the sag you would with a conventional bike. So you're running 4 inches of sag, you're running 2 inches. So with you being a bit bigger, you'll probably have to make a bit of adjustment there. Otherwise, it'll be really low, and you don't want it. You don't want it too low, do you?
So we set up the sag. It should be right for me now. So let's hit the track. Let's see what this bike is truly capable of. Before we crack on with these hot laps, I need to say a big thank you to Dunlop. It's absolutely awesome to have Dunlop on board as a channel partner. As you can see, we're fitting Dunlop rubber to all of our channel bikes. The Ducati here is running the MX-34s, which should work really well out there on the Buttercup Farm motocross track today. But I just want to say a huge thank you to Dunlop for supporting what we do. And guys, be sure to check out Dunlop next time you need to get some new rubber for your machine. I've left some links in the description down below. So let's hit the track first on board the Ducati Desmo 450. We reckon this thing is the most powerful 454 stroke on the market at the moment. This bike is an absolute weapon, so let's set the bar on board the Ducati. The clock is on. I'll keep the action brief here. I won't show you guys the full lap, but we'll watch just enough so that we can compare the Ducati against the Avenger in the turns, over the jumps and down the straights. You can see that I've been able to nail all of the jumps comfortably on board the Ducati with absolutely no stress at all. And down these long, fast straights, you can see just how much power this Italian steed is packing. She felt so fast down there. We're about to see the Avenger hit the track, so keep this lap fresh in your mind, keep it fresh in your memory. We've got one more jump here. Over the final tabletop we go, and on the gas, across the finish line. That's a lap in the bag on board the Ducati Desmo 450. The bar has been set. Let's find out what the Avenger is made of. Oh God, that back brake is shocking. But I'm gonna have to deal with it. I'm feeling comfortable enough now, so I'm gonna try some semi-decent laps here. Ah! No back brake, man. try and put a decent lap in. Oh, I'm not going to the inside there. Woohoo! We're flying around the Screaming Eagle Avenger. It feels quite good in the turns. You turn it wherever you want. It's just the power is so lackluster. So agricultural, the power. And honestly, I'm not trusting the suspension on these big leaps. Hitting the turns, it's surprisingly nice. Sounds like a true wet fart down there, doesn't it? There is just one more chicane and one more tabletop to manoeuvre on board the ADB Avenger here. What do you think, guys? How has this lap compared to the lap on board the Desmo 450? We're on the gas along the final straight and over the finish line we go. That's a lap in the bag on board the Avenger. I will reveal the results in just a second. So we done it, we completed a lap on the ADB Avenger, and so far she survived the ride. I'm probably going to carry on and have some more fun out there for now, but we're going to download this lap time. Next time you'll see me, I'll be in the pits, I'll review the bike and we'll reveal the hot lap results. Oh, I'm pumped with that so far though. My mission here at 999 Laser is to help preserve the history of motocross and motocross bikes through our videos, and I think we've done that with the Avenger here. We've told its story, we've ridden it, you guys have seen it in action. But now I think it needs to move on to a new home. It probably belongs in a museum or a collection where it can be truly appreciated. So if you're interested in owning this bike, drop me a message. On Instagram's usually the best place at 999 Laser, and on Facebook at 999 Laser as well. Like I say, this bike deserves to be appreciated, it deserves to be preserved, it's a unique part of motocross history. So like I say, if you're interested, drop me a message. We've done it! We've ridden the ADB Avenger and the machine has survived the day. That was my main worry coming into this. You never know with these old bikes how they're going to perform, if they're going to perform, especially an old four-stroke like this. We've never even really attempted to make a video of a bike like this before, so I'm happy to say the bike survived the ride. First things first, starting the bike. What an absolute pain in the backside. We actually failed to do that today. Neither of us could get it started with the kicker. Me or Dad, we couldn't get it started. We even had Danny on the phone to ask for some help, and he was super helpful as always, and we still couldn't get it started on the kicker. Both times we got it started today, it was a bump start, so that was a bit of a fail from us, but I don't think it's the bike, I think it's probably just poor technique from myself. But once we did get rolling, once we did get out on track, what did it feel like? Well, the first thing I noticed was that it was super slim. There's obviously no rads at the front, so it feels very narrow at the front here. The foot pegs, minuscule, so small. It was quite vibey. There's no counterbalance shaft in this Rotax motor. You could feel it through the bars, you could see it on the mud guards and stuff, but definitely not the vibiest bike I've ever ridden. That crown goes to the Megalodon 700. The big bore two strokes are a bit more vibey than this. Then we go on to the actual on-track performance then. Damn, it's slow. For a 560cc machine, it felt so slow out there. It took an age for the power to come in. I was kind of third gear slogging it because that's where it felt best, where it performed best. That's where the power felt the meatiest. But it would take an age to kind of to get up to speed, and then it would top out. And when it topped out, it sounded horrible. It sounded like a wet fart out there, I'm not going to lie. So it was slow. It felt a bit like a farm bike in terms of power delivery and power performance. It was pretty slow. But pair that with the handling, it was an absolute dream round the corners. I don't think I've ever been as low round corners as I was today on this thing. I felt like an absolute boss on it. Elbow dragging in some spots, look, maybe a bit too much. I can only really compare it to the Cannondale that I've ridden before. That's another weird American bike, the Cannondale MX400. Power-wise, it was similar to that, and handling-wise, it was similar to that. Just so easy to chuck around and just a dream through the turns. But for a bit of fun around a loamy track like today, it was awesome, albeit very, very slow. Suspension-wise, front end didn't feel amazing. I tried most of the jumps. Some of the jumps I was like, no way, I'm now trying the big tabletops with these forks. The back end felt pretty tractable actually. That A-track system was doing its job. It didn't feel like chattery or anything out of the turns, not that there's too many bumps out there today, but definitely felt like it was doing a good job on the back. Front brake felt okay, rear brake was non-existent. I thought at one point it had completely gone, but after a few laps it came back. I did almost overshoot a few corners, but yeah, that's always to be expected with a bike this age. It's more than 30 years old at this point. So let's move on to the comparison then. Let's get the results ready. I've got the crossbox results here of the hot lap on this bike and the hot lap on the Ducati Desmo 450. Obviously, completely night and day between the two bikes. Pressed a button on that and off I went, enjoyed myself. This was an hour of pain before we even got going. Obviously did all the jumps on the Ducati. It's super fast, super powerful. You could really see the limitations of this bike out there. It's quite deep out there, quite loamy, so it was held back. And if I would have just been riding this bike on its own, I would have thought, oh, maybe it's just really deep and that's what's slowing us down. But when I can compare it directly to the Ducati Desmo 450, I know it's not the loam slowing me down, I just know it's a slow bike now, don't I? So before I do reveal these results, I just want to say again, what an absolute privilege it is to own a bike like this and to be able to say that I've ridden a bike like this. We buy these bikes ourselves, we take the risk to make these videos, and it's well worth it. For me, I've enjoyed learning about the bike, about its history, and I really enjoyed riding it out there today. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching the videos as much as I enjoyed making them, because that's what it's all about. As long as you guys enjoy it, as long as I enjoy making them, then happy days, right? Let's move on to the results then. I've not seen them yet. I know my time on the Ducati, we looked at that straight away, but I don't know my time on this. The 2:01.62 was the fastest on the Ducati Desmo 450, which is a decent time for me around this track. And then on the Avenger, the ADB Avenger, a one-of-one machine. Oh, I did crash at the end there. Sorry. On the ADB Avenger, my fastest lap time was a 2:14.21. At 13 seconds a lap slower. That's not too bad, I wouldn't say. Faster than the Elsinore 450 around here, the old two-stroke that we rode a couple of months back. That's a respectable time for the ADB Avenger there, I would say, a 2:14.21. I'm not displeased with that, to be fair. Down the long straights, it was completely strangled, but through the turns it was pretty good, and obviously over some of the jumps I just didn't have the gonads to go for it. So that's what held it back. So there we have it then. A 13-second difference between a one-of-one ADB Avenger and the Ducati Desmo 450. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think to the ADB Avenger in action? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for weekly motocross videos here on 999 Laser. My name is Max. I'll see you at the track.